This conference will now be recorded.
Fine. Let us start the session. Let me go and open the course curriculum. Let me go and open the course content. Fine. Now see here guys. From today onwards, we'll start discussing about the Power Apps. So in today's session, I'll give some brief introduction to Power Apps. So we'll discuss here the overview of Power Apps. In today's session, we'll discuss about what is Power Apps. In the Power Apps, we're going to use something called connectors. What are the connectors? And what are the different types of apps you can go and create within the Power Apps? What is this Canvas app? What is this model driven app? And what is the differences between the Canvas app and the model driven apps? And also how to go and open the Power Apps. Up to here, we'll discuss now in today's session. So in order to go and discuss it, let me go and open one notepad. Let me go and open one notepad and let me keep here. What is the agenda for today's session is? What is the agenda for today's session is? Introduction to Power Apps. So in today's session, we'll discuss some few points related to the Power Apps. Guys. What is Power Apps? What we can do with this? What are the different types of apps we can create? We'll discuss now. So in today's session, we are going to understand a few points here. The first point we are going to understand here is we'll understand what is Power Apps. We'll understand the first point in today's session is what is Power Apps. And also the second point we'll understand. The second point we are going to understand now in today's session is who will use the Power Apps? Who will use the Power Apps? These 2 points we'll understand now in today's session, guys. First, we'll understand what is Power Apps. And the next point, we are going to understand who will use the Power Apps software. Who will use the Power Apps software? So first, let me go and discuss about. What is this Power Apps. So already you know that, guys. What is this Power Apps means? In the demo session, I said that Power Apps is an app or apps or form development software. Apps or form development software within the Power Platform. Within the Power Platform, what is the software we are going to use in order to go and create the apps or forms? We are going to use that software is Power Apps. So if you go and see the architecture, if you go to the architecture of Power Platform, in the architecture of Microsoft Power Platform, first we'll start with where? First, we are going to start with developing the front-end applications. Front-end applications is nothing but what? Creating the apps. Now see, by using which software, we are going to create the apps within the Power Apps means we are going to use the software is Power Apps. By using which software you can go and create the apps means by using the Power Apps, you can go and create the apps. Already we know this point. So that's what I'm keeping here, guys. Power Apps is an app or form development software within the Power Platform. This is the actual normal definition. Now, what is the actual definition for this Power Apps? What is the actual definition for the Power Apps? So let me keep here, guys. Power Apps is used to, just 1 second. Let me keep here. Power Apps is used to create the apps or forms, which is used to collect the data from the customers, comma. Once after collecting the data, it is used to submit the data to the data sources. What I'm keeping here is Power Apps is used to create the apps or forms which is used to collect the data from the customers, comma. Once after collecting the data from the customers, we need to submit that data to the data sources. Now, not only to collect the data, not only to submit the data to the data sources, it is also used to display the data. It is also used to display the data that is stored, that is stored in the data sources. Whatever the data you are storing in the data sources, whatever the data you are submitting to the data sources, if you want to display that data within the Power Apps, you can go and display that data. Not only to display the data, and also use it to work with the data, use it to work with the data that is stored in the data sources, that is stored in the data sources. So this is what the actual definition for what is Power Apps. Now try to understand, guys. By using this Power Apps, what we can do here is, I'm telling that Power Apps is used to create the apps or forms which is used to collect the data from the customers. First of all, it is used to go and create the apps or forms which is used to collect the data from the customers. Once after collecting the data from the customers in the Power Apps, we need to submit that data to the data sources. So from Power Apps, you can submit that data to the data sources. Not only to submit the data to the data sources, once after submitting the data, if you want to display that data, whatever the data you are storing in the data sources, you are submitting some data to the data sources here, right? Whatever the data you are submitting here, if you want to display that data in the Power Apps, you can go and display it. And also use it to Power Apps is used to work with the data, guys. It is used to work with the data that is stored in the data sources. Whatever the data you are submitting to the data sources here, once after submitting the data, you can go and work with that data, guys. Working with that data means whatever the data you are having in the data sources, working with the data is nothing but, if you want to insert some new data into the tables, or if you want to submit some new data, you can go and submit. If you want to update the data, you can go and update some data in the data sources, or if you want to remove the data, you can go and remove the data. Working with the data means you can go and insert some new data, you can go and modify the existing data, and you can remove the unwanted data from the tables or in the data sources. So this is what the complete definition of what is this Power Apps, guys. In simple words, I'm telling that Power Apps is what it is used to create the apps. What is the use of this creating the apps? It is used to collect the data from the customers. Once after collecting the data, go and submit that data to the data sources through Power Apps. By using Power Apps, I can submit that data to the data sources. Once after submitting the data, I'm able to display the same data, whatever I'm submitting to the data source within the Power Apps. Once after displaying the data, if I want to go and work with the data, I'm able to go and work with the data, guys. So this is what the complete definition or what we can do with the Power Apps. Now, if you go to this architecture, so in this architecture to go and create the apps, I'm using what software here? Power Apps. So in the Power Apps, I'm going to create an app or a form. Now, from the customers, whenever the customer providing some data in the Power Apps, whenever the customer entering some data in the Power Apps, now the data I want to submit to where? The data I want to submit to the data sources. So what is the data source I'm using here? SharePoint is the data source I'm using. So whatever the customer is entering the data into the Power Apps or a form, the data I want to submit to the data source as the data source I'm using here is SharePoint. Once after submitting to the data sources, whatever the data you are submitting here, you can go and display the same data in the Power Apps. Whatever the data I'm submitting here, I'm able to display the same data in the Power Apps. Once after displaying the data in the Power Apps, I'm able to go and work with that data, guys. I'm able to go and work with that data, whatever I'm storing in the data sources. Working with that data means inserting the data, update, and removing the unwanted data. So this is what the complete definition of what the Power Apps can do. So in this Power Platform architecture, the first component we are going to discuss here is what? Power Apps. So this is what the functionality or what is the definition of Power Apps. Fine. Now try to understand. Now try to understand. I'm telling that once after collecting the data from the customers, once after collecting the data from the customers, we need to submit that data to where? We need to submit that data to the data sources. Now, how to submit the data to the data sources? So in order, try to understand guys, once the data is collected from the customers, I want to submit that data to the data sources. Now how to submit it? Now try to understand, once the customer is entering some data in the Power Apps, I need to go and submit that data to the data source. What is my data source I'm taking here? SharePoint is my data source. Now, how to submit that data to the SharePoint as a data source? From Power Apps, how I need to go and submit it? And also I'm telling that once after submitting the data, whatever the data I'm submitting to the SharePoint, to the data sources, I'm able to display the same data in the Power Apps. Now how I am going to display it? First of all, in order to go and submit the data to the data sources, we need to connect it to this data source case. First of all, if whatever the customer is providing the information in the Power Apps, if you want to submit the data or if you want to store the data in the data source as a SharePoint, first of all, you need to connect to the SharePoint. Now, how we need to connect the SharePoint to Power Apps, or how you need to connect the SharePoint from the Power Apps? From Power Apps, how you need to go and connect to the SharePoint? SharePoint is my data source here. So in order to go and connect to the data sources from Power Apps, we need to have, we are having here something called connectors. Try to understand guys. If you want to connect to the data sources from the Power Apps, if you want to connect to the data sources from the Power Apps, we need to have something called connectors. So what is this connectors means? Connectors are used to connect it to the data sources from Power Apps. From Power Apps, if you want to connect to the data sources, we need to have what means connectors. So let me go and keep that point here guys. First of all, if you want to submit the data to the data sources, we need to connect it to the data. We need to connect to the data source from Power Apps. From Power Apps, how to connect it to this data source? If you want to connect to the data sources from Power Apps, you need to go and make use of what? You need to go and use the connectors guys. So what is the use of this connectors is, let me keep here. Connectors are used to connect to the data sources. Connectors are used to connect to the data sources from the Power Apps. From the Power Apps, from the Power Apps, from the Power Apps, if you want to connect to the data sources, we need to have something called what? Connectors. So what is the use of these connectors? Connectors are used to connect to the data sources from the Power Apps. Now, we know that to connect, in order to go and submit the data to the data sources as a SharePoint, first of all, you need to connect to the SharePoint from Power Apps. Now, how to connect to the data source as a SharePoint from Power Apps means you need to go and use the connectors here. Now, see how many data sources the Power Apps can connect. To how many data sources the Power Apps can connect. If you see how many data sources I'm keeping here, I'm keeping only 3 data sources here. One is Dataverse, second one is SQL Server, and next one is SharePoint. Not only these 3, the Power Apps can support n number of data sources guys. Not only these 3, how many data sources the Power Apps can support means Power Apps can support around 600 plus data sources. So how many data sources the Power Apps can connect means the Power Apps can connect to the 600 plus data sources. Around 600 data sources it will go and connect. So let me go and keep that point here guys. To how many data sources the Power Apps can connect means Power Apps can connect to the Power Apps can connect to the different types of data sources. Power Apps can connect to the different types of data sources. How many data sources it can connect means it can connect around 600 plus data sources. So first of all, try to understand what is meant by connector. Connectors are used to connect to the data sources from the Power Apps. Now, Power Apps can support or Power Apps can connect how many data sources means. Power Apps can connect to the different types of data sources, around 600 plus data sources it will connect. I will show you guys what are the different types of data sources or what are the different types of connectors are available in order to go and connect to the data sources. I will show you. So in order to go and submit the data to the data sources from the power apps, you need to go and use something called connectors. By using this, with the help of connectors, we are able to connect it to the data sources from power apps. If you want to connect to the data sources, we need to go and use what we need to go and use connectors are used to connect to the data sources from power apps. So there are a number of data sources the power apps can connect, around 600 plus data sources it will go and connect. And next point we are going to understand here is, still now discussed about what is this power apps. The next point I'm going to discuss, who will use this power apps software, which companies will use the power apps software. Try to understand. The second point we are going to discuss here is, who will use this power apps software means, if there is any company, what the companies will do, the companies will do the business. So if there is any company, the companies are going to do some business. If the company is doing some business, that company need to implement some applications, guys. That company need to implement some, or that company need to create what, some applications. Let us take any one of the company, guys. Let us take Amazon. So Amazon is doing one business. What kind of business the Amazon is doing? Amazon is doing the e-commerce business. Now, if the Amazon is doing the e-commerce business, Amazon also need to create some applications. What applications means? Amazon need to go and create one website for the web. For Amazon, they need to have one website, and also Amazon need to have some apps. Amazon need to go and create some apps. And also in the same way, if you go and take any other bank, any other company, let us take ICICI. ICICI is doing one business. What kind of business the ICICI is doing? ICICI is doing the banking business. So if the ICICI is doing the banking business, ICICI is also need to go and create what, guys? ICICI also need to go and create some applications. Applications is nothing but what? Like creating the websites, creating the apps for the users, for their company. So if you take any company nowadays, if you take any company, if the company is doing some business, that company need to go and create some applications, guys. Applications is nothing but creating the websites and creating the apps for the organizations or for the company. Now see, nowadays most of the customers are prefer to go and use the apps instead of going and using the websites. Instead of going and using the websites, nowadays most of the customers are preferred to go and use the apps. So if who will if there is any company, if that company is doing some business, then that companies need to create what, that companies need to go and create some apps or some forms. So if the company need to go and create, if the company wants to create some apps or forms means, then what is the software nowadays the companies are using in order to go and create the apps or forms means, the software they are using here is Power Apps. Now what is the software the companies are using in order to go and create these apps or forms means, they're using the software as a Power Apps. Now who will use this Power Apps software means, as we know that any company, if they want to do any business, whatever the business it is, they need to create some applications. One of the application is what, creating the apps or forms. In order to go and create the apps or forms, that companies need to buy one software. So what is the software the companies are using here to go and create the apps means, Power Apps. So let me go and keep here one point here, guys. Companies will create the apps or forms by using the Power Apps software. So companies will create the apps or forms by using which software? By using the Power Apps software. Now we understand here who will use this. Power Apps software. So why the company need to go and use only Power Apps software? I'm telling that okay, if the company needs to go and create some apps or forms, that company need to buy one software. What's the software the companies are using nowadays means they are using the Power Apps software. Now, why the companies need to go and only use Power Apps? There are different types of softwares is there where we need to go and create the apps or forms. Then why the companies need to go and use only Power Apps? Now try to understand, guys. Now see, what are the advantages you are going to get when you go and create the apps in the Power Apps means? First point here is Power Apps is it is not a coding language, it is not a programming language, guys. Nowhere coding is involved. If you want to create any app, if you want to create any app, let us say for Amazon, you want to go and create one app, guys, in the traditional way. In the traditional way, if you want to go and create in the traditional way, if you want to go and create an app for this any one of the company, traditional means by using the programming languages, guys, by using some programming languages. So there are some different types of programming languages is there where we need to go and create the apps in the traditional way. What are the different types of softwares is there? You can use the Java. By using the JavaScript, you can go and create the apps or websites. And also you can go and use some Python. You can go and use the .NET. You can go and use some Bootstrap, Angular JS. All these softwares are used to develop the front applications only, guys, like apps, forms, or websites. Now, if you go with the traditional approach, let us say if you are creating an app by using core Java, guys, you are using Java. By using Java, you are creating an application or you are creating an app. So if you want to create an app with the help of Java, by using Java as a programming, first of all, you need to have some strong knowledge in the programming, guys. Without having the strong knowledge, it is not possible to go and create the app. And also here by using Java, if you want to create the app means you need to write some thousands of lines of code. You need to go and write how many lines of code? Thousands of lines of code you need to go and write. And also if you want to complete one project by using the traditional approach as any one of the programming languages, if you want to complete any one project, it will take minimum 2 years, guys. Let us say if the company is taking 2 years of time to develop an application or an app by using Java. Now instead of going and using Java, you can go and use the Power Apps. You can go and use the Power Apps to develop the same app. Now if you go and use the Power Apps, no need to go and wait for 2 years of time to develop the app. By using the Power Apps, you can go and develop the same application within 8 to 10 months, guys. Within less than 1 year, max 8 to 12 months it will take. So that means less than 1 year, you can go and create the same application by using the Power Apps. Why? Because Power Apps is not a programming language, guys. In the Power Apps, no need to go and write any coding. It is completely some drag and drop GUI options is there, and some functional language will be there, and some functions will be there. Just we need to go and make use of those functions. Simply just by dragging and dropping, you are able to go and create the apps here. And also, one more point here is, if you want to create an application by using Java, for the Java developers, you need to pay some lot of salaries. The company need to spend more amount here. But if you want to go and create the apps by using the Power Apps, that company no need to go and spend much amount, and also that company no need to go and wait for 2 years of time. So this is the reason why nowadays most of the companies are using the Power Apps in order to go and develop the apps or forms. So we understand here who will use the Power App software, and also we understand why companies need to go and use only the Power Apps. So companies will create the apps or forms by using which software means Power App software. Now try to understand, guys. Now in order to go and create the apps in the Power Apps, there are two ways you can go and create the apps. Now in the Power Apps, there are two ways you can go and create the apps, guys. What are those two ways means? What are those two ways means? Let me go and keep here types of Power Apps. Now there are two different types of Power Apps are available, guys. In the Power Apps, there are two types of apps you can go and create. What are the two types of apps you can go and create here is? The first one is Canvas app, and the second one is model driven app. First one is what? Canvas app, and second one is what? Model driven apps. Now, what is this Canvas apps and what is this model driven apps? Now, try to understand this. First point you need to understand, who will use this Power App software. Now, by using this Power App software, what we can go and create. And next point, in the Power Apps, there are two ways you can go and create the apps. What are the two ways you can go and create the apps in the Power Apps is, one is by using the Canvas app, second is by using the model driven apps. Now, what is this Canvas app? What is this model driven app? What is the difference between these two? When to go and use what? So first let me go and keep here what is this Canvas app, guys, and then I will discuss about the model driven apps. First, try to understand what is this Canvas apps means. Canvas apps or Canvas apps or use it to build the apps or forms from the blank screen, from the blank screen. Now try to understand, guys. Canvas apps are used to build the apps or forms from the blank screen. Now try to understand, whenever if you want to go and create the apps, whenever if you want to go and create the apps or a form from the scratch, from the blank, from the scratch, from the blank screen, whenever if you want to go and create the apps, then go and use what? Canvas apps. So what is this Canvas apps means? The first point we need to understand, Canvas apps are used to build the apps or forms from the blank screen, from the scratch, from the bottom. You can go and start creating the apps within the Canvas apps. And next point you need to understand here is, what is another point you need to go and understand here is, Canvas apps, Canvas apps will allows the developers, let me keep here guys, Canvas apps will allows the developers to create or develop. Let me keep here build guys. Canvas apps or Canvas apps will allows the developers to build the apps or forms based on the user experience, based on the user experience. Whenever if you want to go and create the apps or forms based on the user experience from the blank screen, then go and use the Canvas apps. First one is, Canvas apps are used to create the apps or forms from the blank, from the scratch. You can start it, you can start creating the apps. And second point here is, this Canvas apps will allows the developers to create the apps based on the user experience. Let us say user experience means based on the client requirement, guys. Let us say my client is Amazon, or let us say my client is ICICI. ICICI is my client. Now ICICI bank, ICICI is my client. Now ICICI, now ICICI bank, they want to go and create an app based on their user experience. So ICICI is having some predefined templates. They are coming with some predefined templates. They are having some predefined templates are available. So whatever the templates they are providing for us, as a developer, as a Power Apps developer, I need to go and create the app based on my client requirement. So whenever if you want to go and create the apps based on your client requirement, according to your client requirements or user experience, then go and use what? Canvas app. So can only 2 points you need to go and understand, guys. Canvas apps is used to create the apps from the blank screen, from the scratch you can go and start. And also this Canvas apps allows the developers to create the apps based on the user experience. According to your design or according to the client design, you can go and develop the apps. And also one more point, this Canvas app can connect how many data sources? I said that Power Apps can connect to the how many data sources? It can connect it to around 600 plus data sources. Now, How many data sources the canvas can connect means this canvas apps also, let me go and keep here guys. This canvas apps can connect to the different types of data sources. How many data sources can connect means canvas app connected to all the 600 data sources guys. So canvas app can connect to the different types of data sources. How many data sources it can connect means canvas app can connect to the 600 plus data sources. So this is what the canvas app. Next, try to understand what is this model driven app guys. Next, try to understand what is this model driven app. Now see, what is this model driven apps means? Model driven apps are used to model driven apps are used to build the apps, build the what type of apps means we can build means it is used to build the admin related apps guys. It is used to build what kind of apps? Admin related apps for the back office team, for the back office team. Now see what kind of apps you can go and create with the help of this model driven apps means model driven apps are used to build the admin related apps for the back office team. For the back office team, if you want to create some admin related apps, then you need to go and use the model driven apps. Now see, what is this admin related apps case? Or what is this back office team? So people, those who are working in the back end, those are called as back office team. So for them, you need to go and create one application means that applications will call it as what? Admin related apps. If you want to go and create the admin related apps, then go and use what? Model driven apps. Let me give an example when to go and create this model driven apps case. Let us say, let us take my client is, let us take, there is one company case. Let us take Amazon is there. Amazon is there. Now for Amazon, now do you think that how many apps the Amazon will have? You people know that Amazon is having only one app. Whatever the app you are installing in your mobile phone, Amazon mobile app, Android app, do you think that that is only the app? But it is not a fact. Now see, Amazon is going to create some multiple apps case. Amazon is going to create an app for the customers. For customers, I am the customer, you are the customer, we are the customers. So as a customer, I want to order some products. So for customer point of view, Amazon is going to create an app. That app only belongs to customers guys. For the customers, they are going to create an app. So in the whatever the app we are able to see in our mobile phones, Amazon app or a Flipkart app, that is only for customers. Now see, you are ordering one product in the Amazon case. Once after ordering the product, it is not, the product is not delivered to you in on time. Whatever the time and date the Amazon is provided to you, it is not delivered on that day. Now you need to go and call to the front. You need to go and call to the customer care. So if you go and call to the customer care. Now you will ask them, so why the product is taking this much time to deliver it? Now the the customer will know that why that product is taking more time to deliver to you. You as a user, as a customer, we don't know that why the product is not delivered on time. So who can know that why that product is not delivered on time? First of all, you need to contact to the customer support. Now customer support will have some other apps case. Customer people, those who are working in Amazon, those are called as backend people. So those are called as what? Backend team. So for them, Amazon is going to create one app, back office, back office team. For the back office team, Amazon is going to create another app guys. Now if you have any query, why the product is not delivered to you on time, if you want to know that, you need to contact to whom? You need to go and call to the customer support. Now the customer support will answer your question. Now from how the customer support can know why that product is taking much time to deliver to you means, so customers, so whoever working in the Amazon back office team, those customer support team, will go to this app. They are having some other app. In this app, that is back office team app. So here they can clearly identify where that product is there, who is the delivery agent for that product, and why that product is taking much time to deliver it. So complete information, the back office team, they are able to see it. So for the back office team, imagine is going to create one app. For the front of for the user's perspective of view, customer's point of view, they are creating another app. Now see, Amazon is going to deliver one product to you. Okay, now who will deliver that product? Delivery agent. So there is one delivery person is there. So whoever the product is delivering to you, so that one is called as delivery agent, guys. So if the delivery agent is delivering the product to you, means do you think that delivery agent is also having one app, guys? Do you think that that app is a customer app? That app is a back office team app? No. Imagine is need to develop another app. Imagine need to go and create another app for the delivery agent. So whoever is working as delivery agents, who is going to deliver the product for them, imagine is going to create another app. That app is specifically for whom? For the delivery agent. If you have any queries, you need to go and contact to the front office team, sorry, or back office team. For back office team, imagine is going to create another app. For the customer's point of view, they will go and create another app. So if there is a company, don't think that the company will have only one app. That company will have the multiple apps. For the customer's point of view, they need to go and create one app. For the back office team point of view, they need to go and create one app. For the here in the Amazon point of view, for the delivery agent, they need to go and create another app. So there are some different apps will be there for the organizations. So whenever if you want to go and create this back office team apps, that means back office means whom? Customer support means what? Admin activities. So whenever if you want to go and create the app for the admin activities, then go and use what? Model driven apps. That's what I'm keeping here, guys. So model driven apps are used to build the admin related apps for the back office team. Now see, what are the examples for the back office team admin related apps means? Just now I discussed one is Amazon back office team. So one of the example here is another one more example is here is HR recruitment process case. HR recruitment process. It is one of the back office app. Next one is employee onboarding process. Employee onboarding process. So these two will also comes under where? Admin related apps for the back office team. Now see, let me go and explain about this HR recruitment process case. Now see, there is one company is there. That company need to hire some employees. Now they need to start the recruitment process. So if the company wants to hire some employees, let us say they want to hire the freshers. If the company wants to hire some employees as a freshers, first of all, in order to go and filter the data, they will keep some percentage in the 10th standard, intermediate, and also in the graduation. They will keep some cutoff. Students those who scored greater than 70%, students those who scored greater than 70% of 70 percentage, people those who are having the greater than 70% of academics, those people resumes only the company need to want. So remaining students those who are having the percentages less than 70, they don't want to hire them. So first of all, what is the process? First process here is they need to hire the employees or the students those who's having the percentage of greater than 70%. Now these students only they are going to hire. Now once after collecting the profiles, students profiles, those who are having the percentages greater than 70, next they are going to conduct the interviews. What's the second step? Second step is conducting the interviews. There are multiple rounds will be there, guys. Round one is technical round. Next they will keep another round, second round of interview, it is also comes under technical. Next the third round of interview. So there are 3 to 4 rounds will be there. So let us say there are 3 rounds of interviews there. Now see, first two rounds are technical case. Now let us say in the first round also they are going to keep some cutoff. Students, those who are attending for the first round of interview, in that first round of interview, the student need to score 70%, guys, greater than 70% of marks. Students, those who are scoring greater than 70% of marks in the round one, those students only promoted to the next round, second round. In the second round also, they are keeping some cutoff. Students, those who are getting the percentage that is greater than 80, those students only they want to move for the HR round. Third round is what round? Let us say third round is HR round, guys. Now see, first round is technical. There they will keep some test. Now student need to score greater than 70%. Then only they need to promote to the second round. In the second round also, they are going to conduct some test. In this test, students, those who are scoring percentage greater than 80, those students only promote to the HR round. Students, those who are not qualified, those who are not getting the percentages greater than 70, those are not going to be qualified for the HR round. Now in the HR round also, the HR will offer, let us say 4 lakhs is the salary they are offering. The HR is offering, what's the salary? 4 lakhs is the salary the HR is offering. Now if the student is okay, if the student is satisfied with this salary, then only once after this recruitment process, then that student will be promoted to where? Employee onboarding process. So once the student is in the HR round also, if the student is okay with the 4 lakhs package, then only that student will be moved to the employee onboarding process. Once after completion of the HR product, the next process is what? Employee onboarding process. Onboarding means collecting the employee certificates, address details, some photography. So some lot of things will be there. Onboarding process. Some lot of things we need to go and provide to the company. So if the student here, if the student is not satisfied with the 4 lakh package, then those students are not going to be promoted to the onboarding process. So if you observe here, this complete thing is called as one process case. So HR recruitment is internal process, that is back end process. So this complete thing will call it as what? This complete will call it as one process. So try to understand when to go and create this model driven apps means whenever if you want to go and create the app, whenever if you want to go and create the app based on the process of your organization, then go and create the model driven apps, guys. When to go and use this model driven apps means whenever if you want to go and create the app based on one particular process, then go and use the model driven app. Now see, this is one process, guys. What's the first process? Employees percentages must and should be greater than 70, and then they will conduct some interviews, 3 rounds of interview: round 1, round 2, and round 3. In the round 1, people those who are scoring percentage greater than 70 qualified for the second round. In the second round, students those who are getting the percentages greater than 80, those will be qualified to the HR round. In the HR round, if the students are satisfied with this package, then only they are moving to what? Employee onboarding. See, if you see, this is complete one process. So whenever if you want to go and create the apps based on the process, then in this case you need to go and create what? Model driven apps. Model driven apps are used to create the apps based on the business process case. This is the business. So company is hiring some employees. This is the business. That company need to follow one process here. This is the process the company need to follow to hire the employee. So if the company need to follow the process in order to go and hire the employees, for that process, if you want to go and create the apps means you need to go and create which app here? You need to go and create the apps by using what? Model driven apps. So let me keep that point here, guys. Model driven apps are used to create the apps create the apps create the apps based on the business process. Based on what? Based on the business process. So whatever the business you are doing, your business will have some process. Based on that your business process, if you want to go and create one app, then go and select the model driven apps. So who will follow the process means backend team will follow the process. Admin, whoever working in that organization as an admin team need to follow that process. So that's why I'm keeping here model driven apps are used to go and create the admin related apps for the back office team. So this admin related apps, people those who are working in the admin, they need to follow their business process. If you want to go and create the apps based on your business process, then go and use what? Model driven apps. So try to understand when to go and use the canvas app, when to go and use the model driven app. Whenever if you want to go and create the app from the scratch based on the user experience, based on the user experience, then go and use the canvas. Whenever if you want to create the app, whenever if you want to go and create the apps based on your business process, based on your business process, then go and create what? Model driven apps. So try to understand when to go and use the canvas, when to go and use the model driven apps, guys. Now another one more point you need to understand here. Now this model driven apps can connect to how many data sources? I said that canvas app can connect to how many data sources? Around 600 plus data sources. But this model driven apps can connect to the how many data sources means model driven apps can connect to the data hours. Model driven apps can connect to the data hours, data base only. Model driven apps can connect to the data hours, databases only. So what is this data hours case? I said, now see, model driven apps can connect to the how many data sources means model driven apps can connect to only one data source. What is that data source? Data hours. Now see, what is this data hours? Now see, data hours is an inbuilt database software within the Power Platform. Within the Power Platform, we have one data source. What is that data source? Inbuilt data source within the Power Platform is data hours. Let me go and keep that point here, guys. What is this data hours is? What is this data hours is? Already we know that data hours is a database software. Data hours is a database software within the Power Platform. Dataverse is a database software within the Power Platform, which is used to store the data. Which is used to store the data. The place where you are storing the data will call it as what? We will call it as a data source. We'll call it as what? Data source. So Dataverse is also one of the data source where you can go and store your business data within the Power Platform. So that model driven apps can connect to only one data source. What is that? Dataverse. But whereas Canvas app can connect to how many data sources? Around 600 data sources it can go and connect. So this is the what is the first difference between the model first what when to go and use the canvas, when to go and use the model driven apps, and what is the first difference between the canvas apps and then model driven apps. And the next point you need to understand here is, if you see, I said that in the canvas apps you are able to go and create the apps based on the user experience. Whatever the user is asking, based on the user experience, you can go and build the apps by your own. So it is possible to go and create the apps based on the user experience in the canvas apps. But in the model driven apps, it is not possible. It is possible to go and create the apps based on the user experience means no guys. It is not possible to go and create them. Let me keep that point. It is not possible to create the apps based on the user experience. If you want to create the apps based on the user experience in the model driven apps means no. It is not possible. We are not able to go and create the apps based on the user experience in the model driven apps case. So how we can go and create the apps in the model driven apps means we can create the apps we can create the apps by using by using the default by using the there is some default components, or by using some by using the predefined, let me keep it as predefined components. So there are some predefined components are available in the model driven apps case. By using those predefined components, you need to go and create the app. It is not possible to go and create the app based on the user experience. So let me keep that point here. In the model driven apps, you can go and create the apps based on the components case. Let me go and keep that point here. So in the model driven apps, how you can go and create the apps means it is a component focused approach. In the model driven apps, you can go and create the apps with the help of, it is a component focused approach to create the apps, to create the apps. So in the model driven apps, we are not able to go and create the apps based on the user experience. You need to go and use some predefined components while creating the apps in the model driven apps. So this model driven apps we can call it as a model driven apps is a component focused approach to create the apps. If you want to create the apps in the model driven apps, you need to go and use some predefined components. So I'm calling it as what? It is a component focused approach to go and create the apps here. And next, one more point I can keep here, where we need to go and use this model driven apps case. And the next point you need to understand here is in which scenarios you can go and use it. So here in the model driven apps, we are not able to create the apps based on the user experience. We need to go and use some predefined components. So we are calling it as a component focused approach to go and create the apps. When you need to go and use the model driven apps means model driven apps are used to go and work with the data case. Most of the cases, when we need to go and use the model driven apps means model driven apps are used to go and work with the data. Let me keep that point here. Mostly model driven apps are used to work with the complex data. Whenever if you want to go and work with the complex data, like complex data means working with the complex data means let us say complex data, like if you want to go and maintain the data, if you want to maintain the data, or if you want to go and model the data. Maintaining the data means modifying the old data, updating the old data, removing the unwanted. This one is called as maintaining the data case. And next point here is model the data. If you want to model the data, modeling the data is nothing but what? Modeling the data is nothing but creating the relationships case. Let us say if there are some tables is there. Let's say I'm having some tables, emp table, dep table, and there is one more table called projects table. Let's say I'm having three tables here. One is emp, the second table I'm having here is dept, and third table I'm having here is projects. So these are the tables I'm having. These are the tables I'm having. Now, what is this modeling the data means? Modeling means creating the relationships between the tables case. Now see, I want to create the relationships between the EMP table and DEP table. Why? Because there is some relationship. Which employee is working under which department? And also I need to go and create the relationships between the EMP table to the projects table. Why? Because I want to understand which employee is working under which project. So if you want to model the data, modeling means creating the relationships between the tables. If you want to model the data, then in this case we can go and use the model driven apps and keep comma, and finally maintain the data, model the data, and to process the data, guys. Process the data is nothing but what? Process the data is nothing but I said that model driven apps are going to be created. Which apps? Admin related apps. In the admin related apps, you need to go and create the apps based on what? Based on the business process. So if you have some business process, so I said that one of the example I given here, employee recruitment. First process is what? Step 1, percentage must and should be greater than 70. So this is my first step. I want to process the data here. So when I need to go and process the data, if the student profile is satisfying this condition, then only I need to go and allow him for the interview. So this is one process. So that's why I'm keeping here process the data. Processing the data means one step after another. If the student is qualified for the first step, then only go for the second step. If the student is qualified for the second step, then only go for the third step. So like this, you can go and do the processing the data with the help of model driven apps. When to go and use this model driven apps means basically model driven apps are used to work with the complex data sets. Working with the data means maintaining the data in the tables, modeling the data, and processing the data. So in these scenarios, most of the cases we can go and use what? Model driven apps. So this is what is this model driven apps case. So you need to understand here when to go and use the canvas apps, when to go and use the model driven apps, and what is the differences between these two. Now see, the first difference between the canvas app and model driven apps is what, guys? Let me go and list out what are the differences between these two. The first difference is what? In the canvas app, you can go and create the apps from the blank screen. From the scratch, you can go and create it. And also you can create the apps based on the user experience. But in the model driven apps, it is possible to go and create the apps based on the user experience means no, it is not possible. It is not possible to go and create the apps based on the user experience. If you want to create the apps in the model driven apps, you need to go and follow your business process. So it is we can create the apps by using some predefined components. So that's one we can call it as what? It is a component focused approach not to go and create the apps. So this is the second difference. Second difference is what? First difference. This is the first difference. Here you can go and create the based on the user experience, but here it is not possible. You need to go and use some predefined components will be there. This is the first difference. Second difference is what? Canvas app can connect to how many data sources? Around 600 plus data sources. But model driven apps can connect to how many data sources? Only one. What is that? Dataverse. And next point here is whatever the apps you are going to create in the Canvas apps, by default, by default, Canvas apps, by default, Canvas apps is not responsive. By default, Canvas apps is not responsive. Responsive means efficiency, guys. By default, Canvas is not efficient. It doesn't perform much more. By default, is not efficient. So by default, Canvas apps are not responsive. But whereas by default, by default, model driven apps are, by default, model driven apps are more responsive. By default, model driven apps are responsive. That is, these are more efficient. Model driven apps are more efficient. These are more responsive. But whereas Canvas apps are not responsive. So this is the one of the drawback in the Canvas case. Now by default is not responsive, but we can make this Canvas apps as responsive. While creating the apps from the blank based on the user experience, you need to go and create your app to make that app as responsive. Yes. By default is not responsive, we need to make it as responsive. We can make it. You need to design the app in such a way. But here by default model driven apps are more responsive. This is the third difference. What is the third difference between these two? So these are some few differences, guys. What is the differences between the model driven apps and Canvas app? Now among these two types of apps, what is the app nowadays most of the business or most of the companies are using? So among these two apps, Canvas and model, which app the companies are using means most of the companies are using the Canvas app, guys. Most of the companies are using what? Canvas app. Only few companies, very less number of companies nowadays, they are using the model driven apps. So why? Because These are the differences. You can create the app from the scratch in the canvas. You can create the app based on the user experience. You can connect to the different types of data sources, and also it is cheaper in cost. Canvas apps means less cost. And coming to the model driven, it can connect to only one data source, that is Dataverse. This Dataverse is more cost. It is cost effective, guys. So the companies are not able to bear this model driven apps. So that's why the companies are preferred to create the apps by using what? Canvas. And one more disadvantage is what? In the model driven apps, we are not able to create the apps based on the user experience. You need to go and use some predefined components. So this is the another disadvantage. So because of these differences, most of the companies will use to go and create the apps by using what? Canvas. When to go and use the model driven apps means whenever if you want to create the app for your back office team, for the admin related activities, whenever if you want to follow your business process, then in this case you need to go and create what? Model driven apps. So this is what is model canvas app, and what is this? Model driven apps. Now see, here in today's session I discussed about some introduction points to what is this power apps, and in the next class we'll discuss about some practical skills. Practically we'll start from tomorrow. And in today's session let me show you how to open the power apps. Now how to open the power apps software, guys? In order to go and open the power apps software, you need to go and use one web url. What is that? Is make.powerapps.com, make.powerapps.com, or otherwise you can go and use the office.com. Let me show you both the ways how to go and open the power apps. Let me show you, guys. You need to go to the any web browser. Let me go to the Microsoft Edge, go to the new tab and type here make.powerapps.com. When I go and click on this make.powerapps.com, now I am able to log into the power apps, guys. When I go and click on make.powerapps.com, I'm able to log into the power apps. Now see, this is the power apps UI. I'm connecting to the power apps. Now this is the UI for the power apps. This is the welcome page. This is the welcome page. Now see, on the top right side, you are able to see the username to which user you are logging in. I'm logging with the Winky@AB Trainings Hub. So this is the credentials I'm using to log in. And next, and something you can see in the left navigation, directly you are landing into the home tab. There is something called create tab, learn tab, apps, tables, solutions, flows. All these things we'll discuss, guys. All these things, everything we are going to discuss here. So this is the URL which is used to go and log into the power apps, make.powerapps.com. Another one is what? Office.com. You can go to the office.com, directly go and open the office.com. You can go to the office.com. Now in the office.com, you can go to the app launcher. You can go to the app launcher. From here, you are able to see it. If you are not able to see here, the power apps, go and search in here, guys. Go and search here for power apps. Go and click on what? Power apps. When I click on it, from here also you can go and open the power apps. From here also, you can comfortably go and open the power apps. Now see, from here also I can go and open the same power app, same UI. Now here also you have the app launcher. There is something called app launcher. Now from here also you can go and open the SharePoint, you can go and open the Outlook, you can go and open the Power Automate, you can go and open the Teams. Everything you can go and open from here also. So this is what, how to go and log in with the power apps case. In order to go and open the power apps, you can go and use this make.powerapps.com, or you can go and log into the office.com. So better to go with the make.powerapps.com. Directly you are able to log into the power apps UI. So once after logging to the power apps, now what are the different options will be there? We'll discuss one by one. And in the next class, that is tomorrow, we'll start some practicals. Yes, practically we'll discuss some things. And also before going to discuss practicals, in the next class I will discuss some UI, user interface, power apps user interface. I will discuss it in the tomorrow's class, guys. Fine. Let me stop here today. Let me stop here.